I'm showing Hustler magazine, Larry Flint, for the simple reason that he was shot in Lawrenceville, Georgia, March the 6th of 78. And Lawrenceville is south of Atlanta. And I was living at Moonraker Apartments at that time and doing a medical malpractice book called MD, A License to Kill. And it involved a lot of cases, and one of them was the murders of Warren and Rosina Matthews, who were pathologists at Piedmont Hospital, and that's where Larry McDonald, U.S. Congressman, doctor, practiced medicine. He's urologist, I think I said that. Also, I was writing about the deaths of Jean Strokerman. She had used my attorney, Gene Kaiser, a former Fulton County, Atlanta district attorney, also. She was gunned down at Piedmont Hospital Christmas Eve. I can't remember, 76, I believe. But anyway, Attorney Kaiser pulled his file and told me that he knew I was doing the book. And he pulled the file and gave me the deposition that Jean gave. She was suing a doctor, Cohen, who's a psychiatrist, and she was working for Hardiman, a psychiatrist at Piedmont, when she was on Christmas Eve, 76, I believe. She was shot, and, they shot her, and she went up on the wall by the Christmas tree. So, anyway, that's just a couple of it. Later, I'm skipping what they did to me. It didn't get published. I've put it up enough, and I've got other things I wanted to say on here. Years later, I was flown out to Larry Flint's, and these are mind control murders where they're programmed. They're done in patterns. Larry Flint had been shot and his attorney killed out in Lawrenceville, and he flew me out there during the campaign when Larry McDonald, Congressman Doctors, he was on board the plane that went down to KAL. It was en route from route from Juneau, Alaska to Seoul, South Korea, and 200 plus people died. Nixon was taken off in Juneau. He was on the plane, so somebody knew it was going down. Now then, he put in here, he put some words that are cryptic, like Thomas Murphy, the Murphy, and he even put Larry McDonald, I know who was responsible, and he was part of it. But what I wanted to get to, and I put that down, this was in April of '84, and it was sent. I've never seen him since, and I'm going to mention the FBI agent that called me when this was delivered to me by Federal Express, I believe. And it was sent from Minnesota, the Twin Cities. And that's where, I want to mention this, that's where the wrestler who was governor of Minnesota told about John Lennon being shot by Mark David Chapman. I was working as a district attorney in the condition they tried to kill me in '80, and when he was shot, and I had told everybody he was shot, and it was mind control, and then Jesse Ventura, the wrestler, and the governor told it on True TV. And anyway, that's the reason I'm putting Mr. Flint up. I've never seen him since then, but the person that called me from Hustler, and I don't mean to because I mention names and tell the truth, and there are a few good people scattered along the way. I don't mean to cause them pain, but I wanted, when he called me, he said, "Oh, Larry Flint he's worried, he doesn't know where you are." Well, they did. He just called me and just sent me this, even though I hadn't spoken with him since I left in October of '83 when I was flown out there. Now I'm going to take up all this time on this video, and none of this is doing me any good, and it doesn't do anybody any good unless they start telling the truth about what's going on. So, anyway, the agent, he didn't say he was an agent, he said he was Malcolm Barber, and that Mr. Flint was all upset. He's trying to find me, couldn't find me, and yet they just delivered by Federal Express this Hustler. '84, and it was delivered, I think, in last of February or early March. No, last of February, because I left up there on March. And I said, well, you're Malcolm Barber, the agent out of Macon, Georgia, in Atlanta. And he said, yes. So I assume from the things that have been told me, and assume, what a joke. I'm not going to say that the feds are the bad guys in all this. It's the Americans that let it happen. They do not want to hear any of this, and they've followed it hook, line, and sinker. They're living a good life, and that's it. That's all I can say about that. I did want to put down here about mind control. That's what I've been putting up here in the murders. They can mass murder. I was writing about it back then in the book, in Dear License to Kill. And that was way back then. So now, well, I don't know how long they've been able to do the mass murders. Edward Snowden, look at what happened to him when he tried to tell about national security. Let me say this real quick. I had a letter from the FBI. They turned it over to U.S. Attorney Harper in Atlanta, and issued it to me that it was an ongoing investigation, national security involved. Well, I gave that to the media. I gave that I went through hell, seriously, me and my family. Anyway, and it hasn't stopped. I wanted to read this to you, but this is really not the way it's all done. Mind control programs and radicalization, which is what they're calling what happened in San Bernadino. And no, that's not what happened. It's programming, mind control that happened. And there are ways to prove it, whether you live long enough or it's already so much power given to the wrong people that... Anyway, the definition of radicalization is a process by which an individual or group come to adopt increasingly extreme political, social, and religious ideals and aspirations. And this is what they give for mind control here, is that a human subject can be indoctrinated in a way that causes an impairment of the autonomy and inability to think independently and disruption of thought, etc. Now, I'm going to put this in here when I was doing the book, because I didn't just come by. One of the doctors I worked for was cardiovascular, and he put a chip in a person who was head of Dixon Produce, Powers Ferry Road. Isn't it odd that I'm doing the book and I find out he put a chip in, I can't remember his name, he's chairman of the board. And he didn't know it was being put in him, but they can control his thought process or program him to go out and kill or appear to commit suicide when he was given this scope. Well, this is going off before I get it on, and what good is this doing? Anyway, I'm going to say this. I was living at Treetop Apartment before I moved to Moonraker, and just prior to Larry Flint being shot. And I had a knock at the door, and the man wanted to use the phone. He was moving in next door. Looking back, I shouldn't open the door to him, knowing what I know now. But anyway, he started talking to me, and he said he just moved in and didn't have the phone. So he wanted to show me something. Well, he could have killed me. I didn't even think of that. But I went next door, and he showed me a ham set that was against the wall. That's my apartment. And I've forgotten what he said about it. But I had worked for Curl Wholesale Company when I finished school, high school bookkeeping. And I knew about ham sets and some of the things. And I didn't know about mind control or anything like that. But the whole deal is that you don't have to have the government agencies doing it. It can be done through a simple ham set. They teach you the Morse code at a level you're not aware you're getting, and that's how it's done. And it's mass, and I've just told you who's doing it and everything, and I've been out telling about the mass murders or individual murders, and in fear that they're going to come and handcuff me and lock me up, because that's where it's headed, mental health. Mind control has nothing to do with mental health. And feeding